This is Gilbert Gottfried, and this is Gilbert and Frank's Amazing Colossal Obsessions. I'm here with my co-host, Frank Santopadre.
And where are we, pray tell?
We're at Nutmeg with our engineer, Frank Verderosa.
We got to get Frankie's plug in there. Hi, Frank. Such a fan. We're also here with our researcher, Paul Rayburn.
Oh, okay.
Because Gene Rayburn is dead, and this is the best we could do.
Yeah. How much time do I have?
To get you a long phallic microphone like Gene Rayburn. So here's something. We haven't done this in a long time on Colossal Obsessions. People, we get a lot of social media. We get a lot of people reaching out to us and making requests. And a lot of people like the new format where we started doing everything from Bond films to people born in 1916 to, my God, we did everything under the sun. We did robots.
Oh, that's right.
We did Man on the Run TV shows. We did, of course, we did the One Hit Wonders, which took us in a whole other direction.
And we've lost 3 episodes.
Might be an omen.
Yes.
So, but the original way we started doing this, the original format for the mini episodes, way back in the day when we weren't in a high
when we were still doing it at Gilbert's dinner table.
Yeah.
I love that there's some people write and they say, is Nutmeg real, or is that just now the name for Gilbert's kitchen table? Nope, it's a real place. And the original format was we would do movies. I would pick a movie, Gilbert would pick a movie, and a couple of people, I won't say it's been a lot of people, but a few listeners have written and said we missed the old format. Can you guys occasionally trot out an old one?
It was one guy at 3 a.m.
It really was one. It was one guy at the Port Authority. So Frankie just suggested we could call this a Throwback Thursday episode. So this is a throwback to the original format that we started with, which was Gilbert and I picking a film. So what do you got?
I have one from 1973.
1973.
Called The Friends of Eddie Coyle.
I know it.
Yeah.
I rented it recently.
Robert Mitchum, Peter Boyle, and Stephen Keats.
Yes. I believe our friend Alex Rocco turns up in that one.
Oh, yes,
right.
yes, and Joe Santos.
The late Joe Santos, who passed last year.
And Stephen Keats was also played Charles Bronson's son-in-law in Death Wish.
Correct. Very good.
And I think he commits suicide, Stephen
In
Keats.
real life?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
See you next week.
That brings us up. Now we're just ready to laugh.
Go ahead.
I just want to say, as a writer, we wouldn't have movies if we didn't have people who wrote movies.
You bet.
And this was adapted from the great novel by George V. Higgins.
Yes.
Who I think didn't he write for the Boston Globe at some point?
It's a name I know, but
right.
I don't. I'm sorry to say I don't know much about him.
He wrote a bunch of Eddie Coyle books, and he was very successful.
There were more than one Eddie Coyle stories.
There were other stories, similar setting,
really?
with like small-time hoodlums and.
Well, that was set in Boston, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. They were all doing their New England accents.
I remember the opening with Alex Rocco. Is it Alex Rocco and Joe Santos in the car, and they put on the masks?
Oh,
and
yes.
They go in to knock off the little bank?
Yeah.
Do you do a New England accent?
Yod. Yeah.
Yod.
Yeah.
That's good. I can't understand why you weren't in that movie.
There's a rat in the department. Yes.
Wow. It was just like Ethel Kennedy.
They missed a bet there on the casting.
Something else. The thing about that movie, also another actor I like who's in that movie is Richard Jordan.
Oh, yes.
I think any character actors in that movie that are nobody's left.
Oh, no.
Those are you've hit the highlights.
Peter Boyle, of course, is
and I remember the blurb, the slogan was something like, it's a dirty, violent world, but it's the only world that Eddie knows, and these are the friends of Eddie Coyle.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's
that
pretty
the
good.
Tagline?
It's a grubby, violent, dangerous world, but it's the only world they know, and they're the only friends that Eddie has.
Wow.
I used to love blurbs on movie posters.
You don't see them much anymore.
Yeah, those I used to love.
We got to do an episode about that.
Because on the horror films, they were always exclamation points and big letters across the thing.
Well, like in one of the Jamie Lee Curtis ones, I guess Terror Train, I think it is. The boys and girls of Sigma Phi, some will live and some will die.
I love it. What's the other one you liked? The by pick?
Oh, that was, I think, the Mangler or something.
The Mangler.
By pick, by axe, by knife, by.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, the horror
That's
films,
a Pulitzer Prize winner
the
right
horror
there.
films always get to have the most fun with those.
And for Halloween, it was just the night he returned.
Yeah. We should do an episode. I mean, people know the most famous ones, and they know just when you thought it was safe to go back to the beach. Was that
Right.
Jaws 2, I think? And in space, no one can hear you scream from Alien. But we should dig up some obscure ones.
Oh, yeah. There was some great ones.
Yeah. Taglines or what do they call them?
I would
Poster
call them
taglines,
blurbs, but they might be taglines.
I always think of blurbs more of sort of like a
critic.
a critic's writing on the poster.
You know what it
or a
reminds me
mini
of?
review.
Reminds me of like menu writing. You know, you get in 3 or 4 words, you got to make the dish sound delicious, and that's what they're doing here. You know, they're trying to
in Taxi Driver, I think it was on every street in every city in the world, there's a nobody who dreams of being a somebody.
Like that.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's creepy.
That is seriously creepy.
Yeah.
What I remember about Eddie Coyle, he's a hustler. He's like a 2-bit.
Yeah.
And he's trying to save money and get out of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And they pull him back in for, is it one last job or?
Yeah. And,
I'm piecing it together.
He's
I saw it about 2 years ago.
aging delivery truck driver
That's
for a
right.
bakery,
That's right.
and a low-level gun runner for a crime organization in Boston.
It's interesting because Mitchum's at the twilight of his career, so he's not playing a super tough guy anymore.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
playing a kind of a loser.
He's not trying to suck in his stomach anymore.
Well, it's not Night of the Hunter.
Yeah.
Or Cape Fear. Well, who's in the rest of that cast? And as I was saying to Gilbert, there are British directors, and this is one, Peter Yates.
Yes.
Who capture American life very well. And Peter Yates also made Bullet, another great.
And what was the other one?
Because Jacqueline Bisset was mentioned last night on the podcast with one of our guests, The Deep.
Yes.
Yeah.
He put Jackie Bissett in that wet T-shirt.
He did.
She's Jackie to you. You guys are close.
Jackie.
They're tight. They're
Jackie.
tight. They ran a car wash
Yeah.
together in Encino.
And Robert De Niro's Bobby.
Don't forget Dusty Hoffman.
Dusty Hoffman. Alan Pacino.
And Gadge.
Gadge.
When you work with Kazan, right?
Oh,
Didn't you call him Gadge?
Gadge, yes.
Peter Yates made some really good films.
Now,
Yeah.
who did The High Rock?
That was Peter Yates.
Yes.
There's another
I
one.
thought so.
Yeah. And The Dresser, Albert Finney movie. That's very, very
Oh,
good.
that's a great movie.
Yeah, he had a great career, and people don't talk about him. I think we talked about a little bit with Ron Liebman when he was in here about the Hot Rock. But Friends of Eddie Coyle, yeah, it's good. It's of that kind of the 70s, gritty,
Yes.
the kind of movies that you and I like to talk about.
Yeah.
When was French Connection around that time? Or was it earlier than that?
72.
Yeah.
72?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it had that wonderful
Or 71.
grittiness of a low-level gangsters. It wasn't Godfather.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
were like bottom-of-the-barrel stupid.
Just to see those actors,
Yeah.
just to see
Oh,
Peter Boyle
great,
and
great.
Rocco. Who else was in who filled out that cast?
Well, I think you got everybody. Mitchum, Boyle, Richard Jordan, Stephen Keats,
right.
Alex Rocco, Joe Santos, and Mitchell Ryan.
Oh, Mitchell Ryan, sure.
But the character names are great, too. Eddie Fingers Coyle and Jimmy Scalise is the head of the gang. That's a classic
Wow.
Italian name. I love that.
My dad, who grew up in East New York and Brooklyn, used to tell my sister and I bedtime stories that weren't typical bedtime stories. They were stories about guys in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
He'd say, "Did I ever tell you about Harry Pots and Pans?" He'd say, "No." Tell us that one. Tell us that one. We didn't get Sleeping Beauty,
Yeah.
or Rapunzel.
Yeah, no, my dad used to tell you, grew up in Toronto, and they'd have these big Italian picnics with hundreds of people, and then a couple of black limousines would pull up, and a couple of guys would get out in white suits, walk around, say hello to everybody, and everybody knew who they were.
I love
they
that.
kind of make their rounds, get back in the car, and go. you know.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I think my favorite nickname, when my dad grew up, everybody got a nickname, all the Italian guys. And my favorite one was Handsome Pills. And I said, what was the origin of Handsome Pills? And somebody, apparently he was a vain guy, and he walked into a diner one day, and he was admiring himself in reflective surfaces, and one of the guys in my dad's circle said, look at this guy. Looks like he just took a whole bottle of Handsome Pills. And so that became his nickname, which I always wanted to use in something,
funny.
but I never did.
Yeah.
Those are the stories we used to get, my sister and I.
I remember in Sleeper,
Yeah.
Woody Allen says about Diane Keaton's boyfriend. He asks where he is, and he goes, he must be out taking his handsome lessons.
His handsome my dad had Louis the Louse, there was Louis the Butcher, Joe the Nose, Harry Pots and Pans, and Handsome Pills. And I think there was a woman named Triple Ass. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't want to be sexist.
There should have been,
but there should have been. Now, my movie stars an actor that Gilbert and I just like to talk about, and we have no reason at all to bring him up, but we bring him up all the time. And I think I've actually recommended 2 movies that this actor made on this show. We talked about The Verdict, and I talked about Road to Perdition, if I'm not mistaken. And these are later in his career, but you know who I'm talking about.
Wait, the Italian guy?
No,
not
what Italian guy?
Wait. What's the guy who died recently?
What guy
Was
died?
he in
What guy died
the guy
recently?
who was in Big Eyes? Definitely Polito.
Oh, John Polito.
Yeah.
No.
He wasn't in this?
No, I'm talking about Paul Newman.
Paul Newman.
Yes.
Oh,
I was
my
gonna,
God.
I was going to say that to just show how little I knew about all this, but I would have been right. I should have said it.
Yeah. Well, any excuse to talk about Paul Newman on this show, and I'll take it. And
He's got really great blue eyes, I hear.
that's the rumor.
And he was a Jew, most importantly.
That's right.
As were, and we were just talking to, what's his name?
Dick Gutman.
Dick Gutman.
We had Paul Newman's publicist.
I forgot to mention it, but both Cary Grant and Lawrence Harvey were Jews.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I think Italians are not getting their fair share of time on the podcast.
Well, I did my 3 minutes about Harry Pots and Pans, so he felt compelled to.
Yeah.
But Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia.
Also a Jew.
Also a Jew, yes.
Not many people know that. Right. LaGuardia Airport. That's
The things you learn on this show.
that's right.
I'm changing the name of the show to Also a Jew.
Enrico Caruso, the great tenor, Ashkenazi. We're breaking news here. I will, as I said, I'll take any excuse to talk about
Famous Italian Chico Marx.
That's
was a
right,
Jew.
Chico Marx. Okay, the movie. I'll see if you know it because I'm going to stump you by giving you. I'm going to give you the cast. Paul Newman, I said. Lauren Bacall.
Wait, was this that, like, Harper?
Wow, he got it from 2 actors.
Oh, man.
Wow.
I was going to give you.
Right.
I was going to give you Janet Leigh and Shelley Winters and Stephen Weber.
Was Robert Wagner in that one?
Robert Wagner,
Yeah.
Robert Weber. Thank you for giving me the first name.
Robert Weber.
Yeah, Robert Weber, who's from 10.
Yeah.
And lots of SOB.
I heard Blake Edwards loved using Robert Weber.
He used him all the time.
Yeah.
You've seen Harper based on the
yes.
Yeah.
Based on what was the original one called?
Archer.
Archer.
Based on the Archer novels by Ross MacDonald and written by the great William Goldman, who wrote Butch Cassidy
and Marathon Man
and Princess Bride.
But was that the name of the movie?
They changed it to Harper because the studio did not option all of the books.
Oh, okay.
All of the stories. That's one version of the story. The other version of the story, and I don't believe this one particularly, was that they changed it to an H because of the success of HUD and The Hustler.
Yes.
Yeah. And I guess Ombre was another one. But yeah. But I don't know.
I had heard that story too. Well, it was kind of like with Stallone, everything was an R. Rocky Rambo.
Right. Rhinestone.
Rhinestone, yes. His biggest hit, Rhinestone.
Okay,
my
here's
God.
the blurb. You ready?
Yes.
Harper. Harper looks for trouble. See Harper look. See Harper.
Ah.
It's right here on the
I don't know.
poster I have on my
There
paper.
it is. That's it.
Yeah. Directed by Jack Smite, who directed one of your favorites,
Yes.
No Way to Treat a Lady.
Oh, my God, yes.
How about that? And The Illustrated Man.
Wow, both Rod Steiger pictures.
Two Rod Steiger pictures. And the music was done by, little callback, Johnny Mandel.
Johnny Mandel.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and shot by the great Conrad Hall, the late great Conrad Hall, who shot Cool Hand Luke and American Beauty and Marathon Man and Butch Cassidy, and the list goes on and on. It's a go ahead.
Oh, was this 1966?
You bet, buddy.
Did we cover this in our 66 show?
We did not.
We did
I
not,
Don't
okay.
believe, I don't believe we did.
In the UK, it was released as The Moving Target.
Yes, which I believe was the name of the book. Yeah.
Ross MacDonald's novel, The Moving Target. That's right.
it's
Well,
a-
where did Archer come? Archer was the character. in
Archer
the
was
Moving
the
Target?
character.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember in one part, Robert Wagner.
Yeah, he's very young in the picture
Oh,
and very
God,
very
yes.
handsome.
And he does, like, for one part as a joke, a James Cagney imitation.
I believe he does.
And when I was watching that, my first thought was, wow, no one watching this remembers who James Cagney was. And then I thought, even more scary, people nowadays don't know who Paul Newman is.
All right, or Robert Wagner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's depressing.
So here's another interesting tidbit. The film pays homage.
Uh-huh.
I'm studying
Homage.
I'm studying with Gilbert.
Homage.
Pays homage to the Humphrey Bogart, Sam Spade, and other detective films by featuring Bogart's wife, Lauren Bacall,
That's right.
who plays a wounded wife searching for her missing husband, a role similar to General Sternwood
In The Big Sleep.
The Big Sleep.
Yeah,
Very
the whole
good.
film evokes The Big
Yeah.
Sleep, really. It's kind of, it's a movie. It's not, I want to say it's not an entirely successful movie.
Yeah.
For one thing, it's overlong.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if I'm recommending it to our listeners, but I mean, check it out anyway for the performances. This is not one of those movies that's really about the plot any more than those bogey movies were about the plot.
right.
the Big Sleep, everybody admits it's one of those movies that
Yeah.
the writers themselves said, we don't know what the plot
Yeah,
is.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Which is amazing.
You know,
Howard
I've
Hawks
always
directed.
wanted to go back and read the book and see if the problem is in the book too, or if the book gets it right.
Yeah, maybe.
But
'Cause
yeah, that's one of those rare things.
It's one of those movies, The Big Sleep, that makes no sense through large portions of it, but yet is so much fun to watch.
It's
Yeah,
a
it's a
lot
great-
of
it's a
it's a
great
lot
movie.
of fun. It's a great ride. I think when the Coens made The Big Lebowski, and I think I've read this somewhere that's part of the Shaggy Dog joke. With part of what they were doing was the plot that doesn't make any sense,
Right.
As kind of an homage.
Right. An
Because
homage.
they took out the detective and put a stoner
Right.
in the center of
Right.
a mystery that's intentionally
Yeah.
convoluted.
That movie grew on me. I spent some time. I was teaching in Florida, and
The
I
Big
had
Sleep?
2 DVDs. No,
The Big Lebowski. Yeah, it grows on everybody.
I watched it about 10 or 15 times over a couple of months, and I just grew to love it. I mean, it's a great movie.
I saw it in the movies and when I was living in L.A. and the first time, and I thought, what the hell was that? Which was a lot of people's reaction. Of course, I appreciated Jeff Bridges and those actors.
Right.
John Polito, David
Right.
Huddleston, Julianne Moore, so many of them. But it's one of those pictures, the more you see it, and it's beyond a cult movie. I mean, there are entire conventions
Yeah.
devoted to it.
I heard something on NPR the other day. Somebody from the American Cremation Society.
Oh, yeah. That's
and
a great
they
scene,
said,
too.
"Oh yeah, yes, it has been pilloried in popular culture."
Yeah. Did you ever see it? Because I know it's a
Oh, yeah, that one I had seen.
But you wouldn't admit to Buscemi that you'd seen it.
No.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
My good friend Jenny Nigro pointed out to me the other night that "Shut the fuck up, Donnie" may be a useful meme over the next couple of
Yeah, that's
over,
true.
over the next couple of years.
Perfect. We and started right here. Started right here on the podcast.
It may come in handy. Let me talk a little bit more about Harper for people that haven't seen it, and it is a little bit like The Big Sleep. It is one of those stories. And we like movies that show you cities and what they used to look like.
Oh, my
so
God,
it's
yeah.
a great look at L.A. in the 60s. But this is about the actors. It's about Shelley Winters plays a boozy ex-star. Janet Leigh is his wife that he's estranged from. Arthur Hill, know that actor?
Oh, my God, yes, yes.
Plays his friend Arthur Graves. Robert Wagner we talked about. Robert Webber. Harold Gould
Oh, geez.
shows up as Sheriff Spanner, and you're going to love this one. Claude, the phony holy man.
Yeah.
Do you remember this? He goes to a mount. There's a mountaintop holy retreat.
Oh, wait, is this Strother Martin?
Strother Martin.
Yes.
Right out of Cool Hand Luke. Yeah.
What we got here is a failure to communicate.
Yeah, a great voice and a great character actor.
Yeah.
Strother
So
Martin.
I've got a trivia question for you guys, either one. In 1975, Newman reprised the role
Yes, he did.
in
Too easy. I've seen that one too. Ask Gilbert if he knows it. There was a follow-up.
Yeah, well, I was trying to remember the name
Joanne
of
Woodward
the other.
is in that
Yeah.
one.
The Drowning Pool.
The Drowning Pool.
The Drowning Pool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a totally
Yes.
different tone in The Drowning Pool. The Drowning Pool is directed by Stuart Rosenberg, a much more serious take on the material. This one is goofy. He goes around conning people. He's kind of a sleaze.
Yeah.
There are parts of the movie where he doesn't really take the case very seriously. It's got a strange light touch.
So do you remember the cast?
Of the Drowning. I remember Joanne Woodward's in it.
Joanne Woodward, Anthony Franciosa.
Oh, yeah, Tony Franciosa.
Murray Hamilton.
Love Murray Hamilton.
Gail Strickland, and somebody we were talking about just before we came into the booth, Melanie Griffith.
Oh, yes.
Geez.
Yes, a young Melanie Griffith. The other thing I want to say about Harper is William Goldman. You can get William Goldman's script if you go to a website called Cinephilia and Beyond, which is a great movie site that I discovered while doing research for this.
By the way, the follow-up, I just happen to, there are not many cinematographers I can name, unlike you guys.
Yeah.
But I know this one, Gordon Willis.
Of course.
The Drowning Pool.
Yeah, Gordon
That's
Willis.
Major talent.
Well, he shot the Godfather pictures.
Yeah.
Oh God! Now this is to get a block on this one. The Chinese cinematographer,
Key Luke.
Yeah.
No, James Wong Howe.
James Wong Howe. I heard a story.
Jewish?
About him. Yeah, Jewish.
He shortened it from James Wong Horowitz.
Yes, he was Sephardic.
Yeah.
A Sephardic Jew.
Uh-huh.
I heard, he was already like a world-renowned cinematographer. He was worshipped. And at one point, just like for fun or an investment, he opened a Chinese restaurant that he would go there and supervise. And one time, outside of his restaurant, there were people filming something. So he decided to go out and say, I think to get a better shot, you should use this lens and go back a little. And he was telling them, you know. And the guy looked at him. He goes, hey, look, I'll direct. You go in there and bake your fucking noodles.
Who said that to him?
Yeah, some guy directing.
Unbelievable. Where did you hear that story?
I don't know. I read that somewhere.
And, it's never too late in the show, Paul, for a little bit of racism.
Yeah, we almost got out.
Almost got out.
Almost.
There's a documentary, James Wong Howe and others, Conrad Hall and I think Gordon Willis, are featured in a documentary. I think it's called Visions of Light. You can look that up quickly as we run out of time.
James Wong Howe apparently won 2 Academy Awards for Best Cinematography.
The best.
What were they?
Oh, God.
I got to get you guys here
Give me
before
a
we're
hint.
done.
Oh, well,
Okay.
one of them
1955
was HUD?
HUD was one of them.
HUD.
Yes,
HUD was
HUD.
one.
Ding, ding. That's one.
Yeah.
And the other was 1955. You're gonna smack your forehead when you hear this.
Drama?
The Rose Tattoo.
Oh, yeah, Anna Magnani.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not bad.
Nope. And look up the documentary. Is it called Visions of Light? Because it's a great documentary
And
released
I think
about a
he
decade
said
ago.
something, James Wong Howe said something like, he doesn't look for explanations of where the light is coming from.
That's interesting.
Yeah. He just, whatever looks good to him.
Maybe we'll do a future show about cinematography.
Yeah.
Our favorite cinematographers. Yep, he's pointing to the time. So check out Harper and also this website. We get nothing from recommending these websites, but they're fun. Cinephilia. Boy, I added a syllable like Homer there.
Yeah.
Homer Simpson, saxophone. Cinephilia and Beyond. And you can see the screenplay for Harper. And there's a great interview with William Goldman, who we should get.
Oh, absolutely.
Jeez, we got to get on that.
Yeah.
And your movie was?
What's that? Oh, the Friends of Eddie Coyle.
Friends of Eddie Coyle. So there you go, to the people who wanted us to revisit the old format. Sir?
Yes, okay. This has been Gilbert and Frank's Amazing Colossal Obsessions.
Bye-bye.
Obsessions.